Welcome back once again to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. We're live from Valencia, Spain, as we've completed our first match of the day, and we move forward to find our third circuit champion once again. I'm your host, Nathanius, joined by the lovely Todd and the incredibly handsome Nick Tasteless Plot. Tasteless, talk to me.
It's good to be here. That was an excellent first game we had. Very exciting to see that ShoWTimE can really deliver, especially considering how strong Lambo is lately.
Yeah, great match. Todd, how have you been enjoying chilling with us? As we have to get you up there casting soon.
Yeah, it's been nice, and I'm mostly looking forward to the next one. As a Protoss player, Neeb against ShoWTimE doesn't really get any better than that, and we're going to have a great matchup on our hands. And hopefully we can learn something out of this too.
And I think the match that we have coming up is great. Was there anything else that stood out for you? Do you either of you guys have a favorite player that you've been following? A lot of us are talking about Vortex now, but Raynor's come up in conversation. Is there someone that you're gunning for a little bit other than Cyril?
I would say Raynor, to be honest. After casting him at GSL and seeing how strong he actually can be at such a young age, with his recent domination in the round of 32, it'd be very cool to see how deep he can get here in Valencia.
To me, another young player, Clem, is always great to follow because I feel like he's one of those guys on the rise as well. Like obviously, Raynor puts up a lot more results, but Clem is definitely one of those guys that I like to look out for because I feel eventually he's going to make it really deep in those tournaments, and I would love for that to happen here in Valencia.
All right, let's dive a little bit into this next match then, shall we, gentlemen? Neeb versus ShoWTimE. Neeb's story has kind of been stolen this year by Cyril. Cyril's the dominant player who's been taken over, but Neeb was that three-time champion last year. We haven't seen that same spark in WCS, but he still had good results so far this year.
Yeah, it's really weird how that goes. You know, like Neeb is like on top of the world last year. He makes it to every WCS event through Challenger. This year as well in the first two, but then we come here to Valencia, and in the Challenger, he loses in the important round against Silky, and now he has to play from the first rounds. So it goes to show that, you know, it's very hard to stay on top once you're there, and there's players that might be practicing harder than him and start putting up results and start beating him more and more. And the same can be said for ShoWTimE. Like I said, Neeb last year, he made it through 4 Challenger. This year, 2 already, but in this one, he failed to make it, where ShoWTimE has been having a harder time for sure. He's trying to kind of come back in some sort of resurgence here, because this year, ShoWTimE hasn't qualified for any WCS event through any Challenger, so he's had to play every time from the first round.
Yeah, I think ShoWTimE's been a great player for several years. I don't want to say he's been in a slump because that wouldn't be fair, but he's been so dominant before in previous years. I do feel, though, that Neeb is possibly somebody who understands the game better than almost anybody else. And on a genius level, not just that he's able to bring great results, but his understanding, especially in like really late game, is incredible. Now, in a matchup like this, I don't know how helpful that's going to be. PvP is a tough one. It can end very quickly.
And we saw that was his weakness when he was playing in Austin. His mana brought out a little bit of weird styles, and that was where the big upset happened. Do we expect it to be a little bit... Is this still going to be like a brawl of a series, or do we expect ShoWTimE Neeb to be more technical, normal PvP?
I think so, yeah. And also weakness is a big word, you know. Like I feel like in PvP there's so many good players in that WCS circuit scene that a lot of players, they could beat each other on a given day. Like they really could go back and forth, so it's hard to tell. And I feel like it's kind of the same with this matchup here.
All right, we'll talk about it a little bit more. We do have the players on stage ready to be introduced by Smix. You've got our top form Protoss over there, I believe.
You are correct. I am so excited for this name. We've always seen such great matches from these two before. And with that, we're going to introduce these next two players up on stage. It's two of the best non-Korean Protosses in the world. Please welcome up on stage. It is ShoWTimE and Neeb.
An amazing PvP matchup coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Neeb, the 3-time WCS champion from 2017, who had that more slumpish result at Austin, despite still having good performances throughout Challenger this year, throughout other tournaments that he's been competing in as well.
I guess one question is Austin a fluke, or is it a trend that we might see more and more of down the road? And that's going to be the big question here for Neeb.
And of course, ShoWTimE, he's the player that started off the year pretty strong, second place at Leipzig, but we've been looking to see him get another deep run. Didn't have that in Austin at all
And this is a really big opportunity. I feel like this is like a proving ground for him to say that, yes, he is back in form. He is in good shape. And a win against Neeb should be a pretty good pickup for him, right, Todd?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always have up and down in a pro gaming career like this. It's very hard, like I say, to stay on top once you've reached that level and tell yourself, I'm going to keep on training as hard, if not harder, to keep on posting all of those results. Very few people can do it across many, many years. That's why it's that impressive when somebody can actually do it. So I'm hoping we see great performances here from both players in that tournament, even going further if they both could advance out of this one. But first, they have to face one another.
Yeah, for me, the most interesting thing about a lot of these players that were on that side of the bracket at Austin was Mana upset everybody. So was it a case of these players were all underperforming? Was Mana just really just out of his mind playing in that tournament? I think becomes an interesting question, as how much of that plays into it really.
Yeah, Mana was a really interesting element that was thrown in last time that kind of debunked any prediction that anybody could have had. He was the wild card player in a lot of ways that really showed that you can be a super top tier player from the past and then come back out of nowhere and dominate. I mean, it makes it tough for this series to call as far as who's actually going to win.
Yeah, so I think it's hard. It makes me not want to say that Neeb has that weakness in PvP, but when you play somebody that is that weird, as we get ready for this match. So do you have any final thoughts on this series, Todd?
I just hope we see like some good fireworks, some longer games, and that both players play at their absolute best level. Some back and forth PvP is always fun.
Yeah, maybe some of that late game knowledge and technical play out of Neeb.
I would love to see some late game PvP here. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see.
Some Roddy Phoenixes.
Roddy was talking about his Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's what, I mean, that was, that build was one of the ones that Mana used to take that last decisive game off of Neeb and Austin's.
All that meta around the Phoenixes is like super interesting, and like they both know that and they've had some time to think about it, now that they know they're playing one another. So how do they try and counteract that? Do they embrace the Phoenix or do they go against it?
Yeah, that's tough. We do have one of the players just dealing with a small technical issue, so as we get ready for this match, I'll toss to the one. You're looking at something, Todd? You got to cover another match while we're doing this?
Yeah, we're going to be jumping into other series here, or keeping an eye on them. And here we got Vortex against Clem happening right now. It's just game number 1 here on Redshift. And not much has happened so far. It's funny. I said I like to follow Clem in these tournaments, and here it is. I got invited to a Clem game.
We got to take a little bit of a look at Clem, and also, much to everyone else's dismay, they're playing a game on Redshift. Taste you got something weird going on over there?
We might want to jump into to my PC right now.
I can't believe it.
In the Lasers game. Now, we were doing the intro to the show, so I just have glanced down and seen this, but there was a cannon rush over here. We see a laser is trying to bust through on one base right now. Meanwhile, there was an attempted expand down here.
Shadow?
How do you get in these games, Stacy?
I don't know.
Cannon Rush,
this is perfect
Lambo.
for me to cast a cannon rushing game, though. This is great.
Shadow in the first group stage, Cannon Rush Lambo, and won in the second game with that.
Nice.
So he's bringing that Cannon Rush meta.
The new Cannon Rush meta is back. You guys better be taking notes at home. I have no idea where this game is going to go.
That's just weird. Please keep me updated on that. So Shadow's bringing some of those cannon rush.
He's bringing that special brand of French Protoss.
Yeah,
is what he's bringing.
Wow. I'll keep you guys posted on what happens here. I have no idea how this game's going to end. But if we still need to buy more time before we jump into this game, we can still look at this weird game.
Just a small technical thing we're just waiting to get resolved. Interesting that Clem series ends up being on Redshift, by the way.
Ooh.
The maps we have not been able to see a whole lot of. Something happening, Nick?
Yeah, you want to go back in here? I think that a laser might have just done it. There's 2 roaches back here, nothing to defend. We're going to jump. Well, if we do jump, okay, here we go. So we got the 2 roaches over here.
He's gotten past the wall. He's gotten past the wall.
And there's nothing back here to defend. Now there's just.
I guess it's all about the counter attack now. Can Shadow and kill him or not?
Can he just? So a laser's going to go up the ramp right now. And I don't think this is going to work. And I think this should be the beginning of the end. Is basically Shadowin's going to run out of.
He's got to wait for energy to recall.
He's
right?
going to fight with probes.
There yet?
Yeah, but this is a lot of lost time here.
Yeah.
I mean,
he has to try and defend back at home, and since he doesn't have any units there, he might as well.
Okay, here's that recall.
He got the energy for it.
Boop.
Just one immortal. It's a one-man job.
All right. And it looks like this is going to be cleaned up.
This is a weird game for us to fill the downtime with, but I'm kind of.
This is great.
We
couldn't have asked for a better. Yeah,
come on, Tasteless, hype this.
I mean, this is hard enough for me to just follow. This is not at all your normal game. So he's got the one immortal back. I guess that's now moving out. Try to keep pressure on. Those were from the hatchery that was actually down over here. So maybe it's not over like I thought it was.
War Prism in a dream, man.
Yeah.
Dodge
Yeah.
those bios.
War Prism and
That
like
can
one
be-
or two immortals, you can do a lot here.
Yeah, nothing else coming out of the Robo for the time being.
This is wonderful.
It's a bit broke, I think.
This is exactly the type of game I was hoping we get put into.
Supply blocked as well.
This is what's so great about having these laptops here like this is that if there is a delay, we can jump into something like this. So if he can actually take out the one Robo, though, I mean, this is all the production
Oh,
right
he's going
now.
for the pylon.
Oh!
Giartosis pylon, tasteless.
He should have had a tasteless pylon there.
There
But
it
now
is.
he's got both Immortals with the Prism and not a whole lot of anti-air because the Queen's dead.
What else has Zerg got back at home? Because it's just
Pick up-
Ravagers.
Oh my god.
It's kind of weird because he's just trying to, with pure will, roach Ravager through Immortals
Yeah.
in a War Prism.
This is crazy. Like, actually, these
Thing is, I think
immortals
there's-
can trade
he can
pretty
just
well.
keep trying to gun down these pylons, though.
Yeah, but he's gonna
no,
remake
the
a lot of
batteries.
things.
The batteries are online again
Oh,
too.
batteries
Oh
are
my God.
good.
He almost just lost that one.
Good things to have. Oh
Wow,
my God.
sick Prism micro.
Okay, so he's still mining back here, just minerals.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my
That's
God.
amazing
All right,
War
what's he got
Prism
back
micro.
here?
Wow.
Gee,
There you go. So for anybody wondering how
Crouching
Shadow,
probe, hidden cannons, gentlemen.
for anybody wondering how the Shadow guy is beating some of the top European Zergs, there you go.
That's right.
That was
that's some spicy
insane.
cheddar to bring to the ladder.
He looked to be kind of dead, and somehow, like,
Yeah.
one War Prism, one Immortal. Like, the second one took forever to go across the map, but he cleaned up big time with just those two.
Not having any creep, like the Queens just being stuck once they went down there.
Yeah.
It's like you kill those, that's it, no more anti-air.
I wish we could have seen the first part of that game, but it seemed like the only assets he had was Roach Ravager, and even though he had a decent amount, he just wasn't able to quite break through. Those shield batteries come in pretty handy there at the end.
Yeah. Still waiting on the technical issue to get resolved. Is something going on with you, Todd?
Yeah, Clem's dropping. Like, we've got a standard, or looking to be quite standard, Terran versus Zerg here right there. But I'm very impressed with Vortex posting results. They are beating Stefano earlier on in the tournament. Then I believe he beat T-Drogo in that group. And now he's facing another Frenchman. He's trying to eliminate us all one by one.
Yeah.
We're not looking too bad. Look at the supply.
Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, I'm looking, Todd. And this
Are you looking
map,
at Tasteless?
I'm up to date with the memes, gentlemen. I'm on point.
Are you though?
Are you though?
Yeah.
Really cool to see Vortex down at this tournament doing well. The guy is such a god.
He's a Blizzard game specialist.
I know. He
There's
really,
not
he really
one
is.
Blizzard game that he's bad at, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So it looks like Clem's
good play.
getting driven out here.
Yeah, this like
game
the
will
weird
probably go on
thing
for a while.
about this map is you have to spread creep down to that gold, even if you don't take it, because otherwise that can happen where the drop gets put there and they just contest on that ramp all game long, which makes it very frustrating. I do believe the technical issue will be fixed very soon and we'll be able to get into Neeb versus ShoWTimE. Thank you
Quite
for
a
your
bit.
patience, ladies and gentlemen.
He's super ahead in upgrades. Already 1-1, whereas for Vortex, he's just started. Whereas, I mean, we've got
Oh,
plus
yeah.
2 attacks started for Clem way earlier. So even though Vortex was keeping up in supply pretty well,
Them are some strong Marines, Todd.
yeah.
He's got a good army set up there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're going to go to a short break as we try to get everything resolved here. Thank you for bearing with us. You're watching the World Championship Series. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's not a hidden pylon and photon cannon. That's the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series.
It could have
coming
been.
back at you as we are here once again. I'm Nathanius, still joined by Tasteless and Todd as we get ready to jump into Neeb versus ShoWTimE. As Clem just picked up that map, Todd.
Yeah, actually, crazy timing. Yeah, he just kind of broke him eventually. He kept on pushing and pushing. I mentioned that upgrade advantage, and it got to a point where it just had too much, and Vortex couldn't hold on any longer. So 1-0 for Clem.
Nice, nice. And did we get another weird game?
No invites yet. We're still
Okay.
waiting. So
Okay, cool. I mean, after that point, maybe you gotta get a new keyboard or something.
take a break.
I think a lot of people that drop those games.
Yeah.
So we're just about ready to get back into this match. Still waiting on confirmation that the players are ready. So we're gonna take another look at the map pool. I think that's what we're gonna do. Tasteless, what is your favorite map in this pool?
I'm interested in watching more Dreamcatcher. It's a pretty different map. The center of the map's also pretty interesting.
The walls,
I'm a fan of Dreamcatcher. It's cool. It's one of our cool new maps. I like that it has a Dreamcatcher in the middle of it as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Do you have one of
You
the-
watch closely.
Do you use a Dreamcatcher, Tasteless?
No.
You keep all the bad
Never had a
StarCraft
nightmare
dreams?
in my life. No dreams of me casting in my underwear yet, so we'll see.
Yeah. Todd, I guess I'll just ask you, what's your favorite map in this pool?
I kind of like the outsider maps, like Redshift and Darkness Sanctuary.
You like Darkness Sanctuary. That's the first.
Yeah, kind of like how I cheer for underdogs all the time. You know, the underdog map, Darkness Sanctuary.
Okay.
He's like the one that I find pretty interesting whenever we do see it come out, just because of the whole dynamic around it, how big it is, and how it plays out a lot of the time.
Yeah. What's the map going to be there for that next Clem game?
We're gonna have
Catalyst.
Nice. The oldie but the
What's your
goodie.
favorite map, Nathanius?
16-bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because you get every game versus Zerg on that map is just something special when you just rush the Liberator range and you get behind the national. Yeah. And then you wait for the second Liberator because like, I'm going to use 7 queens, and then you've got 2. Our game is ready, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into
Good
it.
fill,
It's going to
guys.
be Neeb versus ShoWTimE. This is the World Championship Series.
Hola, Valencia. I am Maynard, and with me is In Control. We have got a PvP showdown of the ages. NA versus EU. In Control, thoughts on this series?
Oh, it's so much more than that, though. Both these guys, the top 2 Protosses in that foreigner scene, but a bit beleaguered, right? We talk about Neeb as the 2017 tyrant. We talk about ShoWTimE as the tyrant that never was, but the one that was kind of always threatening, showing such incredible high levels of play. But this year, a little bit of tripping up, a little bit of okay results, but for these guys, quite bad, because we think of these guys as champions, and they're just not getting there. And they're under the watchful eye of, the all-seeing eye of Cyril, the guy that just keeps grabbing those trophies. But with that cheeky smile, and both these guys sitting back, Maynard, I think we're in that amazing place as casters where we get to talk about nothing at all.
Oh, we do. Well, it was something I was going to bring up during the games, but I might as well bring it up now, is that there is a lot of great storylines here at this tournament, and in particular, ShoWTimE and Neeb. I'm glad they're facing off on stage right now because they are 2 players that have their own that are it's very, very interesting. ShoWTimE, I feel, is like on a road to redemption. This is a guy that struggled in Challenger. He didn't win a single map, but he has started this season in complete blinding fashion. He's already gotten himself from the open bracket. He's not dropped a single map. He hasn't dropped a map in his group yet either, but neither is Neeb. They're a completely flawless victory all the way through at the moment.
Yeah,
But
well, you say it's on the road to
redemption.
redemption.
Yeah, prove me wrong.
You are so positive that I absolutely love it, but to me, that road is just littered with all kinds of trouble. There's guys that want to steal their lunch money. There's guys that just want to straight up stop them from ever getting to the place of redemption. And then there's Cyril, where any kind of redemption they could possibly get is like 2nd or 3rd at best. If somebody can topple that guy, that truly will be amazing. But right now, he's looking unstoppable, almost as unstoppable as getting this game even started.
That's right. As unstoppable as this series not getting started at all. I agree with you there. Cyril is obviously the Scandinavian dragon on top of the mountain. The final boss.
Oh, I like
in
that.
In this tale of WCS.
More like an Arctic monster, though. If I think of
An Arctic monster?
yeah, if I think of a Finnish monster, I don't know that it's a dragon. I think it's more of a big, furry, white-haired beast, right?
Yeah,
maybe?
some kind of like giant yeti.
Yeah.
Like a frost beast of some kind. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Possibly some giant horned Norse god.
There might be some.
Made in human form and a skinny sort of white guy that's just really, really good at StarCraft.
So once again, ShoWTimE is having slight issues with his computer. Now keep in mind, guys, don't be too harsh. We'll get this game going right away, but he is German, so it has to be absolutely perfect.
Exactly.
It has to be running immaculately and built by the Germans themselves.
Lack of efficiency is not an option here for ShoWTimE. He had some hotkey issues, but he smiled, which means we're going to try and unpause and see how we go here. We have the screen in front of us, so it's just both players just having a little bit of banter, just waiting for the hotkeys to be fixed for ShoWTimE, then we can kick this thing off, which will be on Acid Plant for our first map. For all you guys that are wondering at home, wanting to actually see the video game, trust me, we do too.
This is a knife fight of a PvP, though, I'll tell you what.
Oh my God.
We would, joking aside, but both these guys in the same group, they are the favorites. And I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know the rest of the group? I can't remember the other two guys.
I don't actually.
Are they in danger?
I actually don't think so.
Is this a little bit of a dog and pony show? Are we kind of showing this off?
I think this match is probably the most dangerous for both players because PvP's been a bit of a question mark. It was brought up on stage a little bit.
But dangerous how, Maynard, is my point. Like, if either one of these guys lose, don't they just bop the other two nerds?
Theoretically.
That's what I'm thinking.
Theoretically.
Of course, a little bit scary. We've had upsets, though. This is
there's been
already...
a couple strange results. Obviously, Stefano sort of getting out of the tournament really, really quickly. Didn't see that one coming. And both the Spanish brothers, Vortex and Lucifron, doing very, very well all of a sudden, straight out of nowhere. Just
Well, even Lambo taking second in his first group, and the only reason he's in that first group is because he did not qualify through Challenger. A lot of top players were in that open bracket fighting for their spot here. Even Neeb, right? We were talking about that, or they were talking about that on the desk. Excuse me, Silky 3-0s him.
Yeah.
Knocks him, puts him in this position where he's now got to fight against ShoWTimE amongst others just to get to the more meaningful rounds of this tournament.
Now, I think if my eyes do not deceive me, this is an unpaused game. In the top left here, from North America, from Ting, this is Neeb. And in the bottom right, representing Armor Team, hailing from Germany, this is ShoWTimE. I know you really wanted to do both of those player intros, but
no,
I got you back there.
That's why when I get to commentate with Tasteless and Maynard, I know that I'm being taken care of. You guys are going to do those player intros.
Put your feet up. You can put your feet up.
A little bit of a probe kiss as they pass through each other here in the middle of the map. We did see both gateways going down at that ramp. It's a little bit of a stylistic thing. You'll see players kind of ebb and flow between, but so far a standard opening for Neeb and ShoWTimE. And one of the big question marks that we did see asked at that desk by those extremely knowledgeable guys is we always see kind of the Phoenix meta take over PvP a little bit. It's good defensively, it's good offensively, and as we saw at Austin, Mana was able to use it in one of the 3 games to a very quick routing of Neeb, a very surprising result, but if you're not ready for it, it can be very, very lethal. So will it be used here?
PvP's been a bit of a cursed matchup for Neeb lately the past few WCS spots. In Leipzig, he lost to ShoWTimE, actually, of all people, 3-2 to get into the, missed out on another grand final spot to face off Cyril at Leipzig. And then in Austin, excused by Mana, 3-0 in unceremonious fashion there in the round of 16. Not something we expect of a previous champion.
No. Previous 3-time champion even. I mean, it's been a little bit spotty here, but a good scout from both players as they're able to stay there for a prolonged period of time, willing to sacrifice that probe just to get the absolute last word on whether or not there will be a tech. Now, with the one stalker coming out here for ShoWTimE, it's inferred that the other unit will be a sentry, even if not spotted explicitly. And that does mean that oftentimes, if there's going to be a tech, it's a little bit delayed. Now, on ShoWTimE on the other side here, as I believe it's Mapu or Coca, one of those guys really wants us to key in on this. We have Robotech versus Stargate. Favoring Stargate, by the way. The Robotech is actually an interesting choice from ShoWTimE because at the top tier of PvP, it's something that's almost gone by the wayside a little bit. It's not as good against things like Stargate. It's not even that good against Twilight Council, which is like the other thing that you see, but although a lot more rare. It's just specifically good against the DT opening.
Definitely, and it can sometimes tip the scales in your favor if you're up against a few more Stalkers with Blink. But, with those Immortals, but it is, of course, like you said, generally favored to the guy that has the Twilight Council tech. And we even have the Phoenixes coming out first here for Neeb. So maybe Phoenix into Oracle, maybe Phoenix into a second Phoenix if he wants to go for that second Stargate.
Phoenix Oracle is a pretty big risk because oftentimes it's just the speed of the initial Oracle that would be good. So if you don't open Oracle, you're just going to go mass Phoenix, we see here. The second Stargate is an option, but a lot of times you can't sustain that unless you do have that expansion. And then it becomes a little bit more of a risk because you take 1 or 2 bad fights, a good number of Blink Stalkers show up, and your army's just not going to be able to hold it off. So I do think from Neeb, we'll just see that 1 Stargate. And he actually gets the hallucination off. Scout sees the double sentry. Both players are going to get just near perfect information. Doesn't see the Robo, actually.
Oh, wow.
And it is worth noting that with just 2 Stalkers and 2 Sentries, is it possible for him to have a Stargate? Absolutely. That being said, when you do see that second Sentry, you do kind of say to yourself, I think even if he does have a Stargate, I've got the advantage there.
Well, ShoWTimE's moving across the map here. He does have an Immortal in this army, I believe, so that's a bit of beefy output there in that army. And the scariest thing here, I would even say, is that this Immortal has the War Prism. Name a better duo. Those two together can really spell doom for another player who's just getting his rowboat now, so he's not going to have a beefy ground fighting force. Phoenixes will be able to lift up these scary units and be able to deal with the War Prism, but one of them's already gone down. That's a bad start.
It sucks that it died, but I'll tell you what, it died so that he could see this coming. If that army shows up at the natural and there's just 0 scouting whatsoever, the game just immediately ends. But as it is, it's going to be a really rough uphill battle for Neeb. He's going to pull the probes immediately. Fighting out on the map. He is on top of the War Prism. He should be able to go ahead and pick that off. At what cost? It's going to be a little bit expensive as 2 Phoenix do die, and a lot of the probes get picked off here as well. He's trying to get those shield batteries. There's the pull again. With just the 1 Immortal, the advantage still lies in ShoWTimE's gunpowder here.
Definitely a lot of damage output here for ShoWTimE's army. He's still got some energy on that Sentry as well for a Guardian Shield if he wants to stand and fight. Trying to pick off that Phoenix. Give him my Immortal back. He does get it. Hardened Shield is cracked. It has started stepping back. Obviously, the War Prism is dead. Cannot pick that up and save it. He gets targeted down as a priority target for Neeb. He's continuing to lift off units here for ShoWTimE to try and hold on. His shield batteries have energy, so he can always pull back. And it looks like Neeb is going to deflect ShoWTimE for now.
It's a bit of a bloody back and forth exchange, but I'll tell you what, the advantage is for ShoWTimE. You can look down there at the probe count. He's got 8 up on that. And Phoenix are really, really good. But with the Phoenix count being, I think, nearly fully reset, I don't know that we even have a Phoenix out on the map. You don't just, well, no, there's something.
There's one,
he's got one. But even just the one by itself, 1 is the loneliest number, but the only thing more lonely than the number 1 is a single Phoenix. It can just pick up stuff and then gently set it back down and be like, I'm so sorry to have interrupted you. It's going to scout, but it's an expensive scout.
It certainly is.
You're hoping for more.
Instead of a hallucination, it's a little bit interesting to use that last Phoenix. He sees that the Twilight Council spinning here. Now, does he know that this is Resonating Glaives? I doubt it. He probably thinks that this is either Charge or Blink.
Neeb's a smart guy. Blink right now doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It could be Charge. But the fact that he scouts the gateways in addition to that at least gives Neeb a chance to begin to believe that he's going to be facing a huge aggressive stance. And that is exactly what he's facing. When that War Prism comes across the map, ShoWTimE's going to be looking for a killing blow. And with just the 1 Phoenix, I don't know that Neeb's even going to see this coming. I mean, there it is. He sees
and there it goes.
And that's it. And he didn't see much, right?
Yeah, and also Neeb was supply block for a hot minute there, so he's been slowed down in production. He's getting an Immortal out now, and a good Immortal count can, do something here. I really think it's up to these Adepts to try and pull ShoWTimE back or use defensive war pins here.
Well, I love this little counterattack. He sees that there's no additional gas being taken there. He's going to show up into the main base. He'll get a little bit of damage done. ShoWTimE, meanwhile, by the way, is just gunning across the map. He's got to win here. Now, I do think Neeb is seeing this coming. The Oracle, what did it do? Is it also going across the map? Actually, it just comes out right now. There's 2 going on 3 Immortals versus just the 1, and the force of ShoWTimE's not that big.
Yeah. These Resonating Glaives Adepts are pretty powerful, but I don't really like them as much as having a bunch of charge loss. 1 Immortal caught in the outside, force field's going down. That Immortal does get taken down, resetting the count of Neeb down to 2, but he does still have a lot more firepower. That Oracle could potentially help out as well, targeting down some of those weaker units. The War Prism actually protected very nicely here by ShoWTimE. That's a priority target for Neeb to try and get through. He's starting to bleed off a lot of units. These force fields really hurting him a lot here, and his shield battery energy is getting quite low.
Yeah, shield batteries just don't have much for. The probes pull forward, but those are Adepts with Glaive upgrade. That's not going to do it. Neeb taps out, and some nice damage on the other side of the map, but just the decision to put the game on the edge there from ShoWTimE and say, look, I've got a probe advantage. You went Phoenix, it got reset. I'm faster to the Robo. I think I can end this game right here. Was able to do it. And something you were talking about, Maynard, If he just A moves there and goes for it initially, I don't know that he actually gets the win there, but because he kind of picked it apart, he drained the energy off those shield batteries, he got one of the Immortals exposed, he was able to surgically just kind of cut down Neeb and get that one game advantage.
Speaking of surgery, there was a few force fields in there that were great from ShoWTimE, just cutting through the army, shaving off an Immortal, grabbing some Stalkers, grabbing Sentries, even just picking off those really important units for Neeb. Just bleeding him out by, it's like death by 1,000 cuts in that final fight, just piece by piece, and eventually he just overwhelms that natural, takes the game. And that means that is first blood for Neeb, his first map loss in this tournament. ShoWTimE still flawless.
And this is something you were talking about, Maynard. One of the only guys to have so far made this year a little bit more rough for Neeb is ShoWTimE. It's been that PvP matchup. He did in Leipzig, and now here once again he's up 1-0. Now for Neeb, this is a group that he's expected to get past. Even if he loses this, ShoWTimE should be the other hardest opponent in the group, but I'll tell you what, that's not really on the mind of these guys. They go into it, they know they're the favorite, but StarCraft's also in a place right now where we do have some fairly wild results. There's a lot of players out there that aren't given the big stage time, They don't have the huge results, but they are still darn good players. And you just make one mistake in a short best of 3, and all of a sudden your entire tournament can end. And if Neeb were to go out here in this group stage, that would be, I would say, the biggest upset we've had in a little while in WCS. Quite a bit.
Neeb leaving in group stages. Say it ain't so. I couldn't
early
believe that
group stages even.
I mean, we're in group stage 2, and you brought up the group earlier, so I can actually solve that problem right now. Sort of an Insane are the other two players, or Insane.
I think they all feed off of Insane. We saw him at Home Story Cup. He's a nice guy, good player, but he's definitely not in this upper echelon.
Yeah,
and
definitely
sort
not.
of this really awkward guy, because I think he is good enough to beat a ShoWTimE or a Neeb, but he too just doesn't have the results as of yet to kind of make him any kind of favorite against these guys or even an equal opponent. So again, at first glance, you look at it and you say, yeah, ShoWTimE and Neeb, they make it out of here. But man, we've already had some upsets, and is that kind of player that could beat either one of them.
Certainly. I mean, sort of on a good day. I could see him maybe getting out of this group, but that would be absolutely
not on a bad
upset.
day, Maynard. On a bad day, sort of loses to both these guys, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Even on a normal day.
Well, we're going to kick in a game number 2 between ShoWTimE and Neeb. Can Neeb tie it up one apiece, or will ShoWTimE completely wipe the floor with the North American Protoss? We will see. In the bottom right here, it is the man in question. From Ting, this is Neeb. And in the top left from Armor Team on match points, this is Germany's ShoWTimE. Both these players, WCS champions. It's been a long time between drinks for ShoWTimE. Neeb doesn't feel like that long ago when he was the guy to beat.
Yeah, it can feel like it was just yesterday, but as we get deeper into this year, it's going to feel more and more like it was a distant yesterday. Now, last game's a bit of an interesting one. Neeb on paper with that Stargate versus Robo. It is favorable for the Stargate. I'm not going to backtrack on that for you guys. It is, simply put, just a good spot to be in a PvP. But ShoWTimE, if there is an advantage, it's going to be in that early game. If you can catch the Protoss kind of awkwardly transitioning to that Robo, as Maynard pointed out, not quite yet with your own Immortals, but investing in the ability to do that eventually. The shield barrier's a little bit late because of the late scout. Only a couple of stalkers. You can get some serious damage done there, and ShoWTimE showed up in that keyhole, really disadvantageous moment for Neeb. A little bit of, I don't necessarily want to call it bad luck, because with these guys, good luck and bad luck seems to be kind of crafted by them, but Neeb was outmaneuvered. Now in this next game, it's going to be looking to do something similar. The kind of funny mental jarring event that happened there is you want Stargate versus Robo. That's a favorable position.
Yeah.
But Neeb kind of had it squandered by ShoWTimE's out thinking that situation as well. So this puts them in an interesting spot for game 2.
And I'm so used to seeing charge lots in this game, in this meta of this matchup, by the way. Like just a charge lot Immortal Archon being the be-all, end-all of unit compositions in PvP. But the Adepts, like I was thinking about it that first game, and also while talking to you, I'm a StarCraft player, so I can multitask a little bit. But the Adepts actually make a ton of sense when you think about it, because there is such a choke point there in that natural of Acid Plant, that he really actually wanted those range units. He didn't want a bunch of charge lots meleeing into a bunch of force fields. It just didn't make a lot of sense. So we're seeing Stargate here out of ShoWTimE, which makes sense. He's got some Adepts coming out of his gateway, so he has a little bit of extra gas, whereas Neeb is going for the double Stalker opening, going up to 4.
Which is a different, both these guys taking different paths here in this game number 2. The Stalkers are going to get out on the map. Do they go after the rocks? They just go ahead across. No tech out from Neeb yet. That does signify that he probably wants to build a second Nexus, but he's going to have that probe over at the choke so that if Adepts do shade over there, well, a little bit of an awkward exchange as they get blocked up there. Now, one of the things we've seen in development here is the continuation of Adepts. You don't just make 2, you don't even just make 4, you go up to 6, because they can challenge a small handful of Stalkers, especially when conjoined with any Stargate tech, and there is going to be that pylon block there.
It's also going to force the player to be very, very on the money with that probe position on that ramp to be able to block off those Adept shades. 2 or even like 6, or definitely you don't want that, but even 2 Adepts shading in your main will one-shot probes each volley, and that is a problem.
Oh, that's a third gateway. There is no Nexus yet. There's a probe over at the third base of ShoWTimE, which could very easily become a pylon and a gateway for a quick 4-gate. And this is kind of the new Neeb. We knew that he would do some cheeses. We knew that he would do some one-base all-in type stuff. But he's starting to bust it out in desperate times. It's a little bit different for him. It kind of exposes Neeb. Neeb in the 2017 was just the better player. He could just win off of mechanics. This year, it seems to be he's going a little bit more into builds.
I think ShoWTimE smelled something is rotten here. He's got 2 shield batteries on the way back at home. Feeling like some aggression maybe going down. His Oracle comes up to the main base of Neeb. Stalkers are spotted there. And he sees the gateways. Has not confirmed whether or not the natural's down, or how far along it is, rather.
Really good. I mean, this is just a beautiful back and forth here. Neeb positioned himself to be aggressive, got the reaction from ShoWTimE. Some level of scouting that we kind of saw maybe off camera or just a star sense here from Neeb meant that he knew that he wasn't going to be able to commit to this. Now here come the Adepts. I think that's 7 that show up at the insta recall. Means that Neeb's going to get out of there without taking any damage. He's going to have the faster Nexus. The double Oracle is really dangerous. They're able to overpower a single shield battery, but if you have units there, the Oracles become, I don't want to call them useless because of course they can scout forever, but that investment at that time becomes problematic.
Once again, I'm questioning Adepts, but in game 1 it ended up making sense. In game 2, ShoWTimE, still no Resident Glaives, these Adepts, I don't think. They're just shading across the map, and they are, a relatively powerful unit. They have the ability to shade into potentially Windmill lines to destroy a lot of probes, but as a standing fighting force against a guy that has sentries and stalkers, no doubt, I'd imagine Blink would be on the way here for Neeb. It's a little bit tough, but these Oracles could make the difference. Is he going to dive here?
Might think about it. Yep, he is actually going to commit to this. Here comes the Adepts, and now 3 Oracles do show up as well. There's no shield battery on that mineral line. He's going to target the probes first, try to get what damage he can. The Adepts are kind of hanging around, so they don't have a lot of DPS themselves. What they do have is the ability to just withstand some damage. Now, the mineral line of the main gets exposed as well. 9 probes in total have died. But with that faster third Nexus, you'll look down there and notice they're kind of equal in supply. So I kind of want to look to what are they producing? We see the 2 Oracles. And as you said, Maynard, Adept's kind of a weird unit because earlier on, very powerful. The longer the game goes, however, not as good. So if Neeb, with this Warp Prism coming out, can end the game, that would be most ideal for him.
Getting more and more sentries here, and he's starting to get a Warp Prism. So Neeb potentially going to go across the map here with a handful of Stalkers and sentries, or maybe even just warp them in across the other side of the map. ShoWTimE being vigilant with these Adepts, just sharking around, seeing if there's any proxy pylons, anything aggressive here from Neeb, or even like something wacky like a gold Nexus. And he's just getting his Twilight Council now. That's a very late Twilight Council here for ShoWTimE.
It is, but he is churning out, well, it's just going to be the 1 Immortal. He has the option to kind of add more. Neeb's, I actually kind of like this call from it. It might not be the winning call, but I do like it. There's double Oracle out on the map. Now, if you leave 1 or 2 Stalkers at home and a shield battery, is going to hold it off eventually, but you're still going to lose another 6 or 7 probes or something along those lines. And those kind of numbers put you into all-in territory. And against ShoWTimE, who's oftentimes referred to as the wall by European players, not a great place to be.
Speaking of not a great place to be, another supply block from Neeb. Had to drop 2 pylons there immediately after hitting 62. So that's another pain in the butt for him.
He's kind of positioning, by the way. So there's 3 sentries in that Warp Prism, and with Blink, he might be going for, well, if he's going to show it here, never mind. I was going to say he might blink up into the main and force field the ramp, but he's just going to show this off. Get some okay scouting. Yeah, this is like really old school. It's you get a couple of probe kills, you slow down the mining, it's cute. But at the same time, well, okay, it opens up a move for this, and this is really nice.
Yeah, these 2 Adepts, like I mentioned earlier, do one-shot probes unless there's a shield battery helping them out. These sentries are still alive, by the way, in the Warp Prism. And Neeb, even though he took a bunch of probe damage from those multiple Oracles of ShoWTimE earlier, has a pretty nice worker advantage here. 6 workers up in him. Their matchup always nice. And look at that extra probe damage there.
This little Warp Prism just taking a tour of the Protoss base. This is why it's so hard to be a Neeb fan. Like, you watch that and the whole time, you're just like, oh, because you lose the Warp Prism, it goes from like a kind of cute move to what the heck are you doing? 3 sentries and a warp prism is very expensive. But now these oracles are going to head back across the map. Noticeably, they don't have that much energy. And like I said, the double, it was actually a triple oracle opening, did get some damage earlier on, but as the game goes, their effectiveness just kind of gets mitigated to the point where they're just good scouts. Now, Neeb's bought a lot of time, and as you said, he's got a lot of workers. So what has he done with this? Well, Blink just now finished 4 gateways finishing. I think Neeb's the one that says, okay, I'm slightly ahead, and in PvP, that means I go to kill you. But ShoWTimE didn't get the memo.
He made a bunch of gateways back at home, got resonating glaives, committed to adepts here, and once again pushing across the map with this interesting looking force, which isn't what I'm used to seeing in PvP, which generally there's charge lots here. Neeb gonna break down these rocks and slow down ShoWTimE a little bit, but he can always head to the north and hit that third nexus. Well timed, knocking down those
really
rocks.
wanted in, I guess.
Get out of here, Nate.
Not today. Now, the Oracle's going to get across the map and see that there's no gas being mined. This has got to be an immediate read of, I am facing an all-in. He cancels the third Nexus. That's the beginning of a good call. He's going to want to make a lot of units, and Maynard's been calling into question the idea to go Adept for a while now, and I have to agree with him. Blinkstalker's very strong against that. The only advantage you have with Adepts is you can just make so many of them, and he's going to show up here. He's got some energy on those sentries. Is it going to be enough?
Wow.
There's the shade forward.
Big shade forward here from ShoWTimE. Neeb can, of course, block the ramp. Looks like ShoWTimE's going to commit here. The shade about to go in, and there he goes. Neeb has Archons, though, and they're going to be very nice against these Adepts. Charge nearly finished, but it's still in the way. The Oracle's getting targeted down by these Stalkers. Neeb's army supply isn't super high, but he does have +1 attack, so that is helping him out here. The Adepts just start stepping to whatever they can, targeting down that Archon. Can they get it? Can ShoWTimE break this ramp? Neeb has that Warp Prism to help out his Archons, and he's immortal as well.
Oh, the Archons
and he
so low.
Oh, yeah, one of them gets taken out there. He's run out of shields, has no hit points. Charge about to finish up for Neeb here, and if he can get a good cluster of charge slots, that's going to help him out as well.
Yeah, I think the initial impact of that push is going to be the strongest form of it. As time goes on, it's going to fall off. Not to put my monocle and top hat on too much here, but I think Neeb almost over-microed that a couple of times. The Archons found themselves moving when they should have just been shooting. It got a little bit closer than I thought it could have been. I thought Neeb had the way better advantage in terms of army composition, but just because, again, a little bit of over-micro, it might have gotten closer. But that being said, let's not be too critical. I do think Neeb comes out a little bit ahead. We can see that he is taking that third base in a little bit of a cheeky spot.
Yeah.
And throw this game into a loop, and he's going to go ahead and recall in a bunch of probes and instantly saturate really nice. He needs to pick up on something, though, and that is that ShoWTimE has not taken a third. And the longer that remains true... Oh, wow, he actually sees like a kind of naked main mineral. I wonder if that kind of tips him off.
An immortal pickoff there from Neeb. Good start to this attack.
It's a recall.
ShoWTimE's going to recall whatever he has into the natural here. And it's a fair bit of units, actually. He has to get out of here. There's a bunch of Adepts and some Immortals and another group of Adepts here on the flank. Neeb actually might need to recall himself, but he's already used it on those probes. So
no, he's got
to walk on home.
He's the faster guy. I mean, if you shade forward with the Adepts, they can kind of keep up with him, but then you find yourself with just Adepts against Stalkers. It's not a great place to be. ShoWTimE is in all-in territory right now, and the thing is, Neeb should know that. He's got the third base. It's mostly saturated. He knows it's a cheeky one. He sees a lot of units out here and no third. He did some damage to the natural. He's got to know. So back at home, it's really simple. You just start chucking out, well, man, he's making 3 probes. I mean, I go, it's really simple, man. And then I'll get the production having to go, that's not it. Don't do that. Don't build those. Just you got to get defenses and live.
Attacking into a guy it seems very likely that he's going all in, at least from Neeb's point of view. It's a little bit interesting here.
Yeah. He just might have just too much. He's like so safe that he's like, no, I actually can build 3 probes. Look at that ramp. We're going to have that shade in forward, but they're going to see all these Archons.
Too many Archons.
There's no way. ShoWTimE. Yeah, he's like, nah, not today. And the Blinkstalkers are on the map, and they're kind of securing the advantage. So this main base damage is nice, and if there was no third for Neeb, I would be kind of concerned. But the fact that there is a third, he's adding Archons and Immortals. I just don't know where ShoWTimE goes from here other than to game 3.
Yeah, certainly starting to shape up that way. This third Nexus still unbeknownst to ShoWTimE, giving Neeb that extra bit of income. It means Neeb's got just the easy way to replenish his army, and all this time he's been enjoying that +1 attack upgrade for his army as well. Let's bring it up again, but no forge for ShoWTimE means no upgrades. And these Blink Stalkers catches for Adepts, well, that was an interesting blink there. And up he comes into the natural. ShoWTimE bleeding off a few Adepts for free here to these Stalkers. Shield batteries be damned. And he just blinks on into the main. He can blink out as well. Do a bit of free damage here.
I think a cheeky recall would be the cutest thing. If he blinks down, he might actually have a little bit of an engagement with those Immortals. He's going to blink forward. Woo! This is when Blink Stalkers become a little bit dangerous, but again, he's so far ahead. Look at the production. He's just not in danger. He's up 20-some odd supply. Stalker's still doing that work, even if it is costing them a few Stalkers. As the game advances, you want less and less Stalkers, and you want that thing that Maynard was talking about, Charge Lot Archon, Immortal, and whatever the hell else you can add. Now, the classic words. When behind, he Dark Shrine, right? So he doesn't have a third base. He's just now adding it. But if he can get some cheeky DTs in there, why not?
Third base attempt here from ShoWTimE, obviously incredibly late. And Neeb's actually heading towards this location. He doesn't know if he has it or not yet. His Stalkers are catching a bunch of Adepts on the move with a big shade, that's almost certainly going to be cancelled. But Neeb is moving out with a superior army. This army cannot be stopped.
No.
This cannot be stopped by what ShoWTimE has right now.
Now, you look at the army of ShoWTimE, and there's going to be some armchair quarterbacks at home that are just like, oh, why do you keep making Adepts? Well, to be honest, ShoWTimE fell into a hole of I can really only add Adepts. That's the army composition I have. I'm not going to cut off from this and just make an inadequate number of like Zealots or Stalkers. He's just doubling down on Adepts, but to Maynard's point, that many Archons, I mean, let's keep in mind something else too. He thinks Neeb's on 2 base. Not only just 2 base, but he thinks he's on like a very low mining main base. He really thinks this game's within his grasp, but as we can see, just 30, 40 supply advantage for Neeb. The game is leaving ShoWTimE behind in the composition. ShoWTime's gonna be looking at that and be like, man, Protoss is broken. How has he got that many Archons? It's crazy.
Protoss! Well, I mean, he's probably scratching his head a little bit as to how much Neeb, how Neeb has this much stuff.
Yeah.
Plus 2 attacks about to finish for it as well. I mean, Neeb has every single advantage available to him here. He is that privileged Protoss right now. How do you even stop this? He's got some DTs. Is there any detection of this army from Neeb?
None.
Well, that's potentially problematic, but I mean...
You know what, though? It's funny, because he'll warp in DTs to survive, sure, but what he really has to do is get some work done with those DTs. If he can pick off the Robo and start warping in DTs with that Warp Prism, that's one of the weird scenarios where you can actually win this game from that point.
Charizard's leading in the charge here, and the Archons are hitting that army. Now, Neeb might not have detected the fact that there are cloak units yet.
There's the Observer being queued up. Is there a Warp Prism across the map? The entire game comes down to this right here. If
he's got to stop this Observer right now!
He's warping in Stalkers. There's nothing to stop it. It's gonna go down.
No. Oh my God, he gets the Robo. No Observers. Neeb can detect with cannons, but a lot of his army's going to get shaved off with these DTs, and the main is under siege.
All right, he's starting to build the next Robo over there. There are cannons in a couple of these mineral lines. The game's not completely over just yet, and the army of ShoWTimE, in my opinion, is still a child.
Yes.
It's a child chasing a tiger that's got its tail on fire a little bit here. So the main base is it's in trouble. This is not a good-looking main base, but I do think Neeb should be able to stabilize. I wouldn't even build just the 1 Robo if I'm Neeb. I'm like tripling on this investment and saying, okay, well, I got to build all the Robos.
I mean, you have a good point in control. Neeb is probably still in the advantage here. The main is getting taken apart, but he's like, I'm just going to park here on these cannons. You bring your DTs down here, I'll just kill him.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that Observer out. You can't stop it this time. And then when I have this Observer, I'm going to head across the map. Good luck, have fun stopping me.
Yeah. And oh, wow, ShoWTimE. This army movement. Nope, he's just going to... He's still just checking these bases, and a little bit of him has to be like, where? Where is this money coming from? And to be fair, ShoWTimE hasn't really checked that much. Like, he's just now over on that side of the map. He certainly hasn't scouted lower left. You know what else he's doing, Maynard? He's setting up for a counterattack. He knows. He knows his army cannot stand up to Neeb. So he's saying, you go out in the middle of the map. I see you. I'm going to let you go further out there, and then we're going to make this into a good old-fashioned base trade.
ShoWTimE working with every tool he's got here and making some really genius moves as well. There's that very important Observer here for Neeb. Remaking some of those gateways. There's that giant shade from ShoWTimE, and Neeb has to make the decision here. Do I come home or do I just keep going? Robotics facility goes down. The natural is going to get destroyed here by ShoWTimE.
1 Observer.
And he decides to come home. These rocks are slowing down Neeb here as well. Going for the recall on the straggling units. ShoWTimE has found the nail in the coffin here for him.
And he's able to kill a huge swath of that army. The DT's still going to work in the main base. Lower left-hand side, by the way, is now scouted. It might be too little too late, though, as the army of ShoWTimE is just not up to snuff. He's going to send a lot over there. But even at this time, the base has been mostly mined, and Neeb is already showing up on the other side of the map. Keep your eye on the 1 Observer. There's 2 Robos being built behind this, so it's not like the whole game hangs in the balance, but if there's any chance at all for ShoWTimE, it's that Observer.
I mean, ShoWTimE doesn't have things that shoot up. I mean, he's going to get a Phoenix. Okay,
you know what?
So the
Fair
Phoenix
point.
will do it.
What? There's a whole sentry there. Maynard, of course, he's got to check.
He can tickle that Observer down. I'm sure Neeb's that bad at this game. Oh, this is so funny to watch an Archon chasing a bunch of probes here on the right of the map. But the main story is that Neeb is heading into that natural. And I, again, have to say it again. This army cannot be stopped.
No. Now the question also becomes, by the way, that Archon that's chasing the probes out on the map, you got to keep your eye on the minerals of ShoWTimE, because he most certainly, if this game's going to go on any further, has to build buildings out there. And if I'm looking at this correctly, he's got 198, which is painfully just 1 or 2 buildings. They're going to fight at this natural over here. And the forces of Neeb actually are strong enough to just straight up win that fight. And that might just close out the game right there. Neeb at 123 supply to 71. ShoWTimE's going to take a second to kind of mentally take account of what's going on here.
Yeah.
But
this
it might
one
just
is
be
all over. This one is all over. Neeb's got way too much fighting power. Goes for the Dark Shrine. It's been a thorn in his side for a good half of this game, but he's going to be able to get rid of ShoWTimE, who very valiantly held on as well as he could, making some really great decisions. Neeb too strong in the end with his +2. Mass Archon Force, Immortals, destroying the German Protoss' main base. A couple Phoenixes are out here.
They're looking for it.
They're looking for that Observer. I can guarantee that it is with Neeb's army. In fact, the Observer is gone, so he is going for that base trade. Well, I mean,
it's kind of weird. I mean, it's like 0% chance, right? Like, there's only a couple DTs, by the way.
He's going
How
for
many?
it.
It's just the 2, yeah.
ShoWTimE does have a bunch of units out in the middle of the map, a bunch of probes rather, but he doesn't have a ton of minerals to do the things that you want to do in a base trade, like make Nexi. You can make some pylons, I guess, or a couple.
42 army supply to 85. I mean, the funny thing here is if he can actually kill that Robo, if he can actually kill the 1 Observer, so there is the 1 Observer. It's now dead. Robo's gone. He built 2 Robos, but did he build them both here? Is there none in the main base? Okay, so the cannon.
Well,
I was gonna do the caster thing. It's actually over.
Yeah,
No way
I mean,
he kills that cannon.
That's the thing. He's got to kill those cannons. He's got to kill that army that's sitting at those cannons. And Neeb, while it got a little bit messy, is still in the winning position here.
You know what? With 2 DTs, he can actually just go fight this army too if he wanted to. I guess that's more dangerous than needs to be. Yep, ShoWTimE says I gotcha. I'm up to date with what we're doing here.
GG. Well played. A valiant effort there from ShoWTimE, but Neeb is going to tie this up 1 apiece. And this has been a bit of a cracker of a series.
Yes, it has. Like game number 2, putting on full display why PvP has become such a fun matchup. Really nice moves from ShoWTimE. This is something you called attention to, and I have to reiterate here. I feel like he was really, really behind for a lot of that game, but even from the behind position, he put the game on a couple of choices. With Neeb having such an army advantage, it looks like it's a simple choice. It looks like, no, Neeb would have to be crazy to throw it away, but 0-1 on this stage against a player like ShoWTimE, you will make big mistakes. We expect these guys to play perfect, but this is exactly where those kind of mistakes happen. However, Neeb was able to keep himself calm, cool, and collected, made the right choices, and came out ahead.
Certainly has. Both players have drawn blood from each other. Finally, those flawless runs being tarnished by each other on stage. And I cannot wait to see who wins this series. I feel like it seems like ShoWTimE's trying to do something a little bit different in PvP. While Neeb is also starting to change into a different player. He was that predictable guy that wanted to go into like the mid game, doing regular, very readable builds, and just be better than you and win with it. Whereas lately, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Neeb's starting to do a little bit of that aggression, you know? He's putting his aggressive pants on. Proxy pylons, lots and lots of stalkers going up to 4 gates, or attempting to go up to 4 gates to really hammer things in your opponent. But of course, Neeb changed gears in that second game, went for the expansion instead and mind game ShoWTimE a little bit.
Well, I mean, just to recall what happened here, because I think that both these guys got pretty weird. Neeb actually wanted to do a little bit of a 4-gate, bailed out of it, ended up being a little bit of a 3-gate, but then when he saw the strong response, he backed off with the faster expansion. Later, he follows it up with a 3-Century Warp Prism Harass. That's something you don't see very often. And then out of ShoWTimE, we see the new meta of PvP with some 6+ Adepts mixed in with 2, sometimes in this case, 3 Oracles, which again, if not defended specifically and very well, just ends the game. The 3 Oracles will kill 15 probes if you only have a shield battery and a couple of Stalkers, especially with all those Adepts also doing a good job of tanking and killing probes themselves. So Neeb was wrangling a shark there. He was doing battle with it. A lot of us are kind of casual, like, well, Neeb should be fine. But it's only because Neeb is Neeb that he was fine. That's a really hard composition to deal with, and he did it in flying colors.
And kudos to ShoWTimE as well, just using his big, sexy brain to make the right decisions to come back in that game. Freudian slip there, but we'll just ignore it and move on in game 3. And the top left from Ting in North America, this is Neeb.
Big sexy brain can mean a lot of different things. Maynard, you recovered really nicely there. I appreciate that.
I am a professional in drill. And in the bottom right, from on the team, this is Germany's ShoWTimE.
One apiece for these two guys. We've seen some pretty wild and crazy openings and follow-ups and transitions throughout this PvP, and we're only through 2 games. What do they have in store for us in this game number 3? We've seen StarGate from both guys interchangeably. We saw Robo from ShoWTimE in game number 1, which in and of itself has become a little bit of a wild card opening. He was able to use it to great effect. We know that the Korean meta has a Warp Prism coming out of there and a lot of Stalkers being juggled for an even earlier aggressive style. Neeb, been in Korea, That's actually where he's won a majority of his, like, I think it's $78,000 in prize earnings this year.
Oh,
it's kind of funny. We're like, the poor guy's having a real tough year. And he's like, really? He won about $80,000. I'm like, yeah, if that's a down year, you're a pretty good player. You're doing all right.
It's weird to think that he quietly won a tournament in China, getting like $30,000 or something like that as well, which is pretty incredible.
Not
and
bad.
he's qualified for this current season of GSL. So Neeb is doing just fine over the pond.
Doing pretty good. Of course, he's going to want to do it here at WCS as well. ShoWTimE with his third tactical pause, of course, will be his last tactical pause. After this, we will actually eject him from the tournament and dunk him in goo.
Yeah.
It's not true. We don't do that.
No, but I mean, when you start to get to the 12th, you get into the dozen pour area. That's when the admin comes out with those, those really strong metal clippers that you use to open fences.
Yeah.
And he just says, "All right, ShoWTimE, which finger is it?"
Right. Or you have like the WCS, just like a medical health person. They come over and they're like, "What's going on? What's got you stressed, big buddy? What's going on over there?" He's like, "I can still hear the commentators." I mean, to be fair, that's really nice if that is the case. If the white noise machine is not working, then of course you're going to want to signify the tournament. We do have a little bit of a pause here. Hopefully for you guys at home, you're having a good time. This is just the second series of the day. We have, I believe, 4 more to bring for you guys. But keep your eyes on the results. There's a lot of the tournament being played not on this main stream. We have some wonderful community streamers following the results there, and we'll, of course, touch base with that at the main desk with the boys. But Maynard, any results coming in? I know we have a chance to look at this too.
Group G and H is finished actually, with DNS and ShoWTimE coming out of Group G, eliminating Rail and Alas Reformed.
Look at that Group D result, Maynard. I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to interrupt you, man.
Yeah, what the
heck is that?
Shadow done got himself a win there against the Laser. He won that series that Tasteless was very eloquently presenting to us on stage there.
Look at the Frenchman making it out at the top of that group. Do you think they're all inspired by the World Cup? Is that what's happening here? The French are just winning right and left.
I think maybe a French finalist to this tournament just as well as the World Cup.
Oh my God. No, hang on. Another result that you're just glossing over that's blowing my mind. Group E, Lambo out. 0-2.
Yeah, wow, that's a big one, but unfortunately...
He lost to the Muslim.
That's a really good result for the Muslim. That's, I bet, also a terrible result for Lambo, who had a lot of that hype around him.
Yeah, no, they're good Twitter friends, where every time the Muslim says something a little bit cheeky, Lambo's comments aren't too far behind. Well, they're going to be pretty far behind now, because usually when a guy beats you in a tournament like this, you don't want to talk too much smack. But we're in the game. ShoWTimE, Neeb, 1 apiece. Winner of this is going to go up to that winner match. Loser will be fighting for their life. And like those results we were just talking about, holy Toledo, WCS Valencia. You know, in Austin, we were like, gosh, no upsets. A lot of these results very predictable, very 3-0, 2-0 heavy. And here we're already having blood splattered everywhere. These guys are out to kill.
I think in Austin there was some kind of freak accident. The planets were aligned. No one's meant to be able to just have clean sweeps that often in StarCraft 2.
Too clean of a tournament. We don't have that.
It's too clean. No, everyone's so closely matched. It should be 2 1s, 3 2s.
I like it when these boys get down in the mud, start rolling around and stuff like that. And that's what I really want to watch. Is getting ugly here. Now, the limited vision of those shaded adepts, means that they probably didn't see each other. Both players also going Stargate. Both players also have been doing a very good job of keeping the probe at the choke. You can't just respond. You have to already have the probe there, and there is that block. Because if that gets it, okay. If that gets in, it's like game over, man. You lose 5-6 probes, and that's all it takes in PvP. Hello. All right.
There it is.
Every time, just my stomach just lurches.
It is actually bad for your blood pressure to watch
it
two guys adept and then try and warp a shield battery there on that ramp. And they warp it in that shield battery because it builds longer. It takes longer to finish than a pylon, so he has a bit more time to cancel that if he has to. A little bit of scuffle here coming on the favor of ShoWTimE with the adept advantage. Gets one of Neeb's units there before he shades away.
You know what? Even spotting the adepts on this half of the map in those numbers, though, means that Neeb can prepare. I know that sounds like I'm some weird apologist for Neeb, but I'm not, really. That kind of information is extremely valuable, and Neeb's going to see that. So he drops the shield battery. He's going to get a stalker out here. He's adding his own Phoenix, and it's ShoWTimE that's going to go across the map and is not entirely sure he's facing a Phoenix opening. Now, if Neeb doesn't block this,
he will.
But even if he does, the adept number down here means that they can do battle. They're going to chop down the adepts pretty quickly, even with that shield battery. But here come the Phoenix. They have to help. But by picking up, I was going to say that might open up the opportunity for the other Phoenix to jump on there, but they're actually already going across the map.
The if in doubt, pull out strategy being pulled in by ShoWTimE. not good trades for him in the end there. Shield batteries really made a huge difference there for Neeb and the Phoenixes, of course, as well. He's getting up there in the count. Both players just going into Phoenixes and committing to it. Just a single Stargate. But it's going to be taken to the skies here.
And this is... There it is. Okay, so I was just going to say, this is that weird place where in PvP, do you keep adding Phoenix? Do you go for the faster fleet beacon? Do you wait for the second base and then add? I mean, he's actually outnumbered here. He's got another Phoenix showing up. Pretty okay micro so far, but the elusive Phoenix battle. So, like, that's a 2-2 exchange.
How did that happen?
And this is my favorite, too. This is going to be, like, the milk of StarCraft, where is it good or bad for you? It's going to interchange every week. People are going to be like, no, the easy way to do a Phoenix battle is you target the weakened one, you pull back the damaged one. Then you get into Phoenix battle, and sometimes you feel like you do it perfectly right, but the other guy comes out 6 Phoenix ahead, and you're like, what is going on? It's weird.
Something I haven't really cracked the nut of myself, playing so much Terran these days instead of doing any Protoss myself. So Neeb's going to have less Phoenixes, but he is going to have more of a ground army.
Yeah.
ShoWTimE is committing very, very hard to these Phoenixes. But that said, though, if you lose the air battle and all your Phoenixes get erased and there's just like a ton of Phoenixes remaining from your opponent, they got 10 or so Phoenixes still in the sky, it is bad news for you.
Neeb is really investing in the ground battle, which is actually really interesting because he's showing up a Phoenix as well. The pylon, did it get put down? Yes, it does. And the ground army of ShoWTimE is nearly non-existent. He's got 2 Adepts and a single Stalker. Ooh. The Phoenix count of Neeb, by the way, you can't just pick up this whole ground army. Neeb, with a really nice move, is going to show up here. Probes are being pulled, but that's damage enough. Anyways, here comes the Phoenix, going to jump on top of this. The Phoenix battle will ensue, but that should leave a lot of the Stalkers alive on the ground, and they are contributing, so that means that the Phoenix count of ShoWTimE is going to get to a non-lethal place. Like, if you have 3 or 4 Phoenix, who cares? In fact, he just straight up loses it. Neeb is able to score a decisive victory with it, secure for himself this game. GG is called out. ShoWTimE's done.
Wow. Neeb ended up winning the series there. He lost the first map, won the next maps back-to-back here on stage versus the scariest Protoss I can think of in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that Neeb still has the skills to pay the bills, but I'm glad to see that ShoWTimE's doing so well in these group stages. Yes, he's lost to Neeb, but will he be taken down by Insane and sort of in this group? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I look at sort of as the potential spoiler there. He's a dangerous player, but to your point, Maynard, I have to agree. They're both the favorites, so hopefully ShoWTimE can rally back, and he did show some good games, so all confidence should be alongside him. Great series, though, and it's nice to see Neeb rally back and have a good one against a top-tier player like ShoWTimE. We're going to go to the stage now with Sue and Neeb.
Thank you very much, In Control. Congratulations, Neeb. With this win, you are moving on to Group Stage 3. So how does it feel to not only do that, but do so in an impressive series against ShoWTimE, taking him down 2-1?
Yeah, it makes me more confident going into Group Stage 3, since normally when I play Group Stage 3, I haven't played at all, so I'm not really warmed up or ready. But here I've already played a lot, and I've already played on stage, so I have, I got warmed up enough so I can do well in Group Stage 3 too.
Well, I definitely want to talk about the series against ShoWTimE, particularly on Dreamcatcher. In that situation, you were already 1 map down, and then there was a moment where your robo died. What was going through your head at that moment? Because us in the green room, we were freaking out.
I was sure I was still going to win the game even after the robo died, but it was just going to take a lot longer, and it kind of, that's how it played out. That second game was really weird. The early game went pretty good for him. It should have gone good for me, but I messed up a little bit. So, I just accepted that I lost, and I was getting ready to play sort of, but he did an Adept attack and overcommitted, I think. I had Archons and Immortals and Stalkers, and he just shaded in. You can't really attack on 2 base on Dreamcatcher, so if he just backed off and played better, just normal macro without Adepts, then he probably would have won 2-0.
Well, luckily you were able to take that win, and now you're moving forward to Group Stage 3. And this tournament in here in Valencia is particularly stacked. Of course, Serral is here, but there are so many other great, fantastic players as well, with Raynor and Vortex is also still in the tournament. So how do you feel about the other players here as well?
Yeah, there's definitely so many very good Zergs, but I'm pretty confident in my PvZ right now, even though it's not that Protoss favored. So I think I can beat any Zerg, even decent chance for Serral, but I can't promise anything. I think my weakest matchup is PvP, so it's pretty surprising that I won versus ShoWTimE. I'm really happy about that. It gives me a lot of confidence.
I love to hear that confidence. Congratulations again. Best of luck in that Group Stage 3 match. Let's head back to Nathanius.
Thank you very much, Smix, and big congratulations to Neeb.
as the American advances on to Group Stage 3 after a nail-biting series against ShoWTimE. I mean, this one went down to the wire, gentlemen.
It was really cool to see, especially in Game 2, how Neeb was able to perform. But ShoWTimE is a real force to be reckoned with. I mean, you can see he really does have quite the ability to play an abstract PvP and almost pull it off in some cases.
Yeah, I think the base trade was quite great. I always say it, if you can't beat your opponent's army, don't try and do it. Just go for the base trade. In StarCraft, you have the luxury in some way to try and win a different way just by eliminating your opponent, even though didn't quite work out for ShoWTimE, sadly. But yeah, solid series. This is what you expect from these guys. You don't expect some crazy cheese and 3 minutes game and cannon rushes. No, you expect to see some good StarCraft, some good Protoss, and that's exactly what we saw. Multiple different tech paths, good fights all over the place. But Neeb just a little too strong this time.
Yeah, and Neeb, usually soft-spoken, comes out very confident. He's feeling very good. Typically, he would qualify from Challenger and start in Group Stage 3, where a lot of players will be joining us from the European and American Challenger. But he had to qualify like any normie player here in StarCraft, too, Neeb had to go the standard pleb route to get this far. And I like the confidence out of him, because we don't get to hear those words out of Neeb often enough, I don't think.
No, we certainly don't. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he performs later on here. Interesting here that PvP is the one that he's least confident in. So
yeah,
the fact that he knocks that off in such a fashion, that's going to be a big confidence boost.
It should be the most terrifying player he goes up against. You guys were following a few games during this match as well, I believe.
Yeah, if you want to jump into mine right now.
Tassels has something cool to show us.
Yeah, over on the Tassels cam. This was just Game 2 here.
And that's a qualifying match, by the way. Very important.
Right. So very important here. We see Rail, he did an all-in in Game 1. It was a little bit different, but this is a one-base all-in. This game, there was a two-base all-in in Game 1. And you can see the positioning here. The Immortals are just firing down on these Stalkers. The Sentries aren't getting any good force fields up here. And I believe in a second, he just targets down the Warp Prism. There is a pylon not far away, but, I mean, he runs out of gas, basically, here. And there it is, GG.
Nice. So Harsum then winning that deciding match, and he'll be moving on to Group Stage 3 as well.
Yeah. And I was following Clem's match earlier, but I think he was having some issues, so I ended up kind of going away from that, and I went into Hate Me against Laser, which Laser won Game 1, and still waiting for a game number 2, which is also a qualifying match, because ShoWTimE took first in that group, as Arcas just mentioned.
ShoWTimE took first in his group.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, crazy.
That is a fun result. We're going to take a look at some of the updated groups. I believe we don't have the final results of A, but we've got some other results to check out, gentlemen, as the interesting day of StarCraft, I think, to kick off our first day of WCS Valencia. Clem gets his way out. Impressive. Vortex still has a shot, though, waiting to see how that final match goes.
A rematch against T-Drogo for the decider here to see who advances. That's pretty cool, I think.
Here's a group we already just covered here. Neeb definitely in the lead, looking like he should be able to survive here. Still not an easy group, though.
Yeah, and ShoWTimE against Sortov. That's a great match.
That's
kind of sad we're going to lose one of these guys, but hey, they have to earn their advancement into the next stage.
A lot of these groups are quite tough. ShoWTimE, that's just, I mean, I was like, this should be a Lasers group pretty easily, but now it's like...
I'm curious what the rest of his games look like after the one that we saw with him against the Lasers.
The exact same case list. That's what they
same
look like.
build, every matchup.
Shield batteries.
Yeah.
Weird first day. Euthermal, though, able to make it out. He won that second match against TLO. So the battle of the streamers. We got TLO versus the Muslimdom in the decider there.
And this is huge. Lambo finishing last in that group, just recently coming off of a third place at Home Story Cup. We expected more from him.
Rough day from him. Xanster, he finished first in his group in Group Stage 1, finishes first in his group in Group Stage 2. It's got to be feeling really good. And then I think Bly versus Optimus should be a good slugfest going down to decide that group.
Yeah. DNS over here against Harstum. That's right. DNS performing really well here. Harstum, we saw him just come out with that victory there. I think we do know the two players who should advance here, with all due respect to the other two, but I think it is going to be DNS and Harstum coming out.
Yeah, they've got it. They've got the 2-1 there, so not too surprising out of that group. This group, Hero Marine and Nurchio clawing their way out against Hellraiser and NXZ. I don't think, not big surprise here, Tom.
Yeah, like earlier, Yogo was backstage and he was telling me about his game that he lost against NXZ, and then the groups came up and I was like, that would have been your group. He would have been with these three guys, so I don't think he was too sad about it, but yeah, really tough groups, to be honest, from just group stage 2, and
Yeah.
it only gets better from there. That's the crazy thing. Group stage 3 with all those challenger players.
Very competitive WCS event we've had here so far in Valencia, and it's only going to get tougher. Coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen, our next matchup, I believe, will be a Terran versus Zerg. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, it's Optimus versus Bly, and this should be just a great one.
Going to be very cool to see Bly playing again. He's obviously a player who was really dominant in the past, but he's still proven that he can, kind of stay within this hemisphere of really top-tier players. So I'm excited to see him coming out now today.
Yeah, Kevin was talking up Optimus for quite a while, and I think this becomes a very critical match for him against Bly, who is one of the most experienced veterans that we have in all of StarCraft. He has just been playing forever, Todd.
I mean, if Bly was a card from a deck, he'd be the Joker for sure. He's the guy that always brings in crazy builds.
The Joker card?
Yeah, the Joker card. He's
The
always
one that you can't use when you play any of the games?
Exactly.
But in StarCraft, you can.
Yeah?
He's got
Okay.
all these all-ins and crazy builds, which it kind of feels like a lot of them shouldn't work, but he pulls
Yeah.
them off anyway. And he always goes far.
You're playing a normal game of 52 cards, tasteless, and all of a sudden your opponent's like, I've got this one,
I
baby.
got this card. What does it do? No, that's cool. It's going to be fun to see those two
Yeah.
guys duke it out.
So, should be a great series coming up, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. We'll be right back.
Dad, I'm getting red.